Actually, one more video left from me before we hand things over to the new Dolphins Today host. We will have live coverage for you of the 2024 NFL Draft, led by that new host. Stay tuned for Wednesday's show. If you want free Dolphins coverage and, of course, a ton of NFL Draft updates, hit that sub button right now. We'll have the Chat Sports final 7-round mock draft on Wednesday, but PFF released a new mock draft that I wanted to break down, in large part because there was not one, but two first-round trades for the Miami Dolphins, which I thought was getting kind of wacky and wild, and I just wanted to work through it here. So the first trade is very similar to what the Texans just did, but the opposite. Houston trades out of round 1 to Minnesota, getting extra assets. This time, Houston trades back into round 1 a little bit earlier, giving up a second, a third, and a future third. So a little bit more draft capital going to Miami in terms of what Houston gave up. So now Miami's out of round 1, which lasts 10 picks. From 21 to 31, then they trade back up for a second and a third. So what happens here, and this is kind of why I don't like it as much, the Dolphins basically trade from 21 to 31 and only acquire a future third, which I just don't love that much. Like I'm probably gonna have 3 third-round picks next year. I couldn't get a third this year. Like I couldn't have kept that third, really. I couldn't have found a way to make that work. Like it just kind of felt like we're getting a little bit too wild and wacky overall and not getting the return on your investment that I would have otherwise liked. So if that's the trade scenario, would you do that trade back in the first round? I kind of want a future third at minimum, or a third this year at minimum. Would you do it, though? T for trade or P for pass? So no more trades here. We're done making wild and wacky movements, and now we're just kind of trading down in the first round. Pick is Jackson Powers-Johnson, the center out of Oregon. First, the explanation from Ryan Smith, who did the mock draft for PFF. The Dolphins make 2 day-1 trades, ultimately landing one of the top players on their board and acquiring a 2025 third-round pick in the process. Powers-Johnson is the best center in the class, but can slide in at guard as a rookie to solidify a major weakness on the roster. He is a perfect fit in Mike McDaniel's zone blocking scheme. I would agree with most of that. I do have some concerns here on the medical for Powers-Johnson. He did play more snaps at right guard than left guard, most of them, of course, coming at center. So I do think he could plug in on at right guard, or maybe you try something different. In terms of where you play Aaron Brewer, I think you're probably going to play him at right guard. I think kind of Eric McCoy comp there. I have a late first, second-round grade on him, and he checks in on my board, acknowledging uncertainty about the medical standpoint. He is 21 overall for me. So you got the guy that in theory would have taken a 21, but I do have issues only, quote-unquote, getting a third-round pick back, a future third. Current third, I'd have a lot more interest there. I do like the player a lot, though, if he is healthy. And I think short-term guard, long-term center, or whatever, you have a real rock placed in there along your offensive line. Round 2, and I think this one might have some interest. Xavier Worthy, the pick here out of Texas. Xavier Worthy, my bad. Here's the pitch from Ryan Smith. Worthy broke the NFL Combine record with a 4.21 second 40-yard dash, and naturally, the connections to Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins began. Worthy presents yet another matchup for opposing defenses and gives the Miami offense a much-needed third option in the passing game behind Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I, for one, love getting Worthy in the second round. The wide receiver class in general is really good. There's so much speed that you would be adding to this unit. Like I've seen Xavier Worthy mocked in the first round to the Miami Dolphins. You get him in the second, he is actually the 32nd ranked player on my board, by the way. It's incredible value. He was more productive than AD Mitchell was. The athletic ability is awesome. A 4.2 140, of course, is the NFL's best ever at the combine. But 41 inch vert, 10'11 broad are also elite measurables. He's just super dang skinny. And that is a very real concern to have there. 165, put on a little bit more weight for his pro day. But you just have to acknowledge the speed concerns. And this gives you the fastest trio in football history at any competitive level as far as I'm concerned, even with the Jalen, Waddle, Jamison Williams grouping at Alabama. This fast, like, who's faster in pads, Hill, Waddle, or Worthy? There's about 24, maybe, NFL teams would be like, well, faster than all of our guys. 3 of them on the roster. Eventually, you'd move on from one of Hill or Waddle, but you're getting great value there on Worthy in the second round. So would you draft Xavier Worthy? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off for me in the comments section. Now, the 5th round pick, I will never lie to you guys. I don't believe in doing that and trying to present something that I don't know much about. I did not get to Logan Lee on my pre-draft prep. I got to 300 plus prospects. Lee is like, maybe would have been like 310 in terms of the list if I had just a little bit more time to get to. The production is not overly intriguing to me. I haven't done my full draft studies, but I do know this is kind of a weird tweener where, overall, good athlete at defensive tackle. Not so much at defensive end. Maybe as a 5 technique, this makes sense. And that's why I would not be shocked, hopefully not the 5th round, but I wouldn't be shocked if he got drafted this year. Dolphins need defensive line help. Zach Sealer, Tahir Tart, Neville Gallimore. My issue is I feel like you have a much better version of Logan Lee in Zach Sealer, and I'd like to add either more of a pure 3 technique, because I don't know if he has the real juice to do that, at least the size. He was 281 at the combine. It's really, for a 6'5 defensive lineman, it's really skinny. You would think he could add some more weight to that frame. In the end, Lee was among the top guys I did not get to. So we'll trust PFF and or whatever team were to take him in the draft. But the very, very general info, broad stroking, is I got some concerns there. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time is the place for last-minute tickets because they take the guesswork out of having to deal with all of that. Whether it is for a very limited time, most likely, some Miami Heat tickets, or maybe you want to go to a Marlins game because those are super cheap, or pro football, college football, Game Time has you covered. They have deals, I think it's right up to the start of the event, even an hour after it starts, if you're running behind or whatever. It is the place to find last-minute seats, which, after an hour it started, used to be really good for baseball. Now, maybe not quite as good there, but great for concerts, given that, how long those opening acts can certainly go. With zone deals, keep an eye on those always, folks. You pick the section, and Game Time picks the seats for big-time savings. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, that's CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. The link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. It's gametime.co, promo code CHATSPORTS. I might not have liked the Logan Lee pick in the 5th, but boy, do I love this one in the 6th. I would be very surprised if Braelon Allen falls all the way to the 6th round. I know there are athletic concerns there. He did not run the 40 for a reason. It was not going to be that great of a 40-yard dash time. But this is a career roughly 6-yard per carry back with immense production. And I don't know if running back's even that big of a need, but because you kind of have Chris Brooks and Jeff Wilson and Devin Achane and Raheem Mostert, but long-term a trio of Mostert, Achane, and Allen is ridiculous. That is the ultimate thunder and lightning standpoint there. Allen is a steal in the 6th round. I have him in the top 80 of my board. I think he's a really, really impactful player that my number 5 back. So, again, maybe PFF knows more than me here, but I would have a lot of interest in that one. All right, round 6. And this is one of the more, I think if you can find a true sleeper, maybe this is the guy. Jalen Green out of James Madison. Did not test because he hurt his knee at the end of the 2023 campaign. Still won the Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year because in 9 games, he had 21 tackles for loss and 15.5 sacks. I've got no testing information on him. I've got no height and weight. Green is a wild card prospect. There are size issues there. He's 6'1", 245 listed. Might be smaller. Hasn't helped on special teams previously. But that production is not something that should be totally overlooked. So because I don't have the testing and the size and everything, I kind of put him in the not ranked category. But I am intrigued with him on day 3. Round 7, let's go with the PFF, I should say, goes with Johnny Dixon out of Penn State. Began his career at South Carolina, then transferred to the Nittany Lions. Did start a little bit at South Carolina, but most of his playing time came for Penn State. Man-heavy scheme for the Nittany Lions, I think, is intriguing there. Has had some great success with tackles for loss and sacks, which I find very interesting, very rare for an outside corner there. The problem you run into here is it kind of got some tweener stuff. It's outside at Penn State. He's under 5'11", with 29.5-inch arms. That is horrific arm length for a corner. Penalty boy as well, coming off a hip injury, no athletic testing, but there's some question marks there, but he flashes the ability to still jam guys and be physical in coverage. Maybe you try him at nickel, which maybe that's his path given his size concerns. Cornerback, you add some more depth there. I'm not going to be mad at it. I'm always down at those premium positions, quarterback, wide receiver, offensive line, edge, and corner. I'm always down taking day 3 flyers there. I have a 6th round grade myself on Johnny Dixon. He checked in overall on my board 218, so you're in the range there. I think day 3 flyers, totally fine for me at that spot. PFF mock draft then. Jackson Powers Johnson, center out of Oregon. Xavier Worthy out of Texas in round 2. It's a really good haul on my board. Logan Lee in the 5th, which I didn't like as much as the 6th rounder, Braelon Allen out of Wisconsin. Sleeper Jalen Green from James Madison, and Johnny Dixon in the 7th round. So grade that PFF trade crazy mock draft. A, B, C, D, or F in the comments section. Appreciate you guys allowing me to sub in here on Dolphins Today as we get the full-time host set up and ready to go. Make sure you check out tomorrow's video for that, the 7-round mock draft, and of course our draft coverage, which he'll anchor.